Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn, brought to you by YMCA Employment and Immigrant Services of Niagara. My name is Mishka Balsam, and I will be your moderator for today. Our theme and topic is Finish Strong and Start Stronger. As we look ahead with the goal of finishing strong this year, really strongly, and starting even stronger in the next year, today's session will focus on practical areas that can significantly strengthen your business. We will explore how group benefits can support your team, improve retention, and enhance your ability to recruit in a very competitive labor market. We will turn to practical HR tools designed to reduce administrative workload and help prevent costly errors. Next, we will look at shipping and logistics solutions that can keep your operations moving even in the face of ongoing supply chain disruptions. And finally, we will outline actionable steps you can take now to protect your business and to set the stage for a stronger performance as we head into 2026. These topics are all about equipping you with strategies that make a meaningful difference from today and as you're looking at the next year. Just on an operational point of view, before we start and going into all the details, if you wish to enable live transcript, you can find that option on your Zoom screen. Please know if you have any technical difficulties, please utilize the chat function. We continuously will look at it and hope to be able to answer and assist you in any of your technical needs. And know that this session is recorded and will be made available to you. And the same goes with the presentations that you will see today. We will share them as well. But before we begin on this really amazing topic, I want to highlight our partner. Our Lunch and Learn series is proudly brought to you by YMCA Employment and Immigrant Services of Niagara, a steadfast partner in our sessions. Their support is invaluable, offering employment programs that assist job seekers at all levels and providing extensive employment services for employers. So now it is actually my pleasure to actually pass this over to Iris Corral with the YMCA Niagara for her introductory remarks.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Mishka, for that warm introduction. My name is Iris. I work with the YMCA of Niagara Employment and Immigrant Services. We have been in the region for over 40 years, and we greatly appreciate all the work that GNCC does in our region of Niagara. So we're so happy to be able to continue to sponsor these sessions. I know that they are very informative for many of us here in Niagara. Over these past 40 years, the YMCA has been helping out in Niagara by helping job seekers looking to connect with employers or get back into the workforce. We also help employers, small businesses, large employers, whoever they may be, who are looking for help filling specific roles within their companies or who are looking to train existing companies. So we are funded, our employment portfolio is funded by the Employment Ontario programs, and we offer things like wage subsidy, job placements. We help to register new apprenticeships, conduct job fairs, pretty much anything that an employer is looking for help with when it relates to the employment side of it. We have done, or we would be happy to explore a road for how to help. So feel more than free to visit our website. It's ymcaofniagara.org, or you can visit any of our 3 sites, one in St. Catharines, one in Niagara Falls, and one in Thorold. Thank you again, Mishka, and I flip the floor back over to you.
Iris, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for being the partner and the power behind our Lunch and Learns, but above that, for all that you do for employers and employees in the Niagara region. You really make a difference. We send so regularly many of our members to you, and the stories and testimonials that are coming back really make us only want to send more people to you. So thank you for the difference that you make. And now, when we're talking about the difference and people who are making a difference, it's really my pleasure to introduce these three amazing experts that are actually all here to set you up stronger as you're looking at 2026. We are joined by Sean Brown, who's the Chief Growth Officer at HR Covered Inc., an organization that offers comprehensive human resource support, compliance guidance, and employee management tools that help organizations reduce risks, improve productivity, and strengthen their HR practices. We're also being joined by Gohar Shah, who is an account executive with Freightcom, an organization that provides businesses with streamlined shipping and logistics solutions, offering discounted rates and automated tools and integrated platforms designed to simplify domestic and international shipping. And lastly, we're joined by Jeremy Garrett, advisor and partner at the Garrett Group of Companies, who provides expert advisory and insurance solutions designed to help businesses manage risk, protect their operations, and support long-term stability and growth. I am so much looking forward to this particular Lunch and Learn, especially as we're closing up 2025. So many organizations and so many people who are with us on this webinar are in the same boat, and we're all looking at how can we move forward stronger than what we have done yesterday. So I can't wait for this conversation to take place. So just for everyone, when it comes to the format of today, we are really hoping it to be a very informative and very interactive format. The presentation from each speaker will be followed by a number of questions, and please utilize the chat function for the questions that we have, and we are looking for those. And then we will, at the end of it, we'll also open it up again, just in case you might have missed asking a question at the beginning. We're thinking about it, and then the next speaker started. Please know that all of our experts are with us for the full hour, and questions can be directed to any one of the three individuals. So to start out, I'm going to pass this over to Sean Brown with HR Covered for his presentation, and then we'll follow up with some questions just related to that. Sean, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mishka. And welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for attending here today. I'm really excited to, I know I only have 10 minutes, so I'll try to keep things as quick as possible here, but I'm really excited to really share what HR Covered can bring to your organization and how we can help across the board with some of the free membership resources available through the Greater Niagara Chamber of Commerce. So without further ado, I'll dive right in. Today, what I really wanted to talk about first is just, kind of the importance of HR in a small, medium business, not-for-profits. We'll talk about some of the free resources that are available to you that can really kickstart the 2026 objectives if you're looking to get compliant. And then outside of that, we do offer some core services. So I will just let you know a bit about some of the additional support we can give. So let's kick it off. I'll dive in. I'm going to go really quick here, so feel free to jot down questions as we go. Happy to help one-on-one later on if need be. So I guess first here, when we're looking at basically the importance of HR. I really want to start off with the most important document you could possibly have in your business, and that's the employee agreement. So basically, the employee agreement really sets the status. This is the sole document that protects you as the employer. So we want to make sure that we've got, a really good foundation there when it comes to the agreement. So everything from status, method of payment, hours, working arrangements, the types of employment, whether it's, permanent, fixed term, seasonal, all that good stuff. Any sort of preconditions need to be outlined there as well. So obviously it's very important to make sure that that it's in the offer and the agreement. Definitely cement, a lot of the policies and the way that you operate and conduct your business. So performance management is definitely a good part of that. And then, of course, everyone's favorite, the restrictive covenants. So things like termination, layoff, confidentiality, non-solicitation, all that good stuff. And again, this is really one of the most important documents you have. It's really the only opportunity you have as an employer to define the terms and conditions of the employment. And this, really can save you at the end if things don't go well with that employee. So again, I just wanted to stress the importance of having very, very strong employment agreements in your organization. So obviously, the reason that employment agreements are so important is there's a ton of case law out there that have really changed a lot of the wording and the structure of employment agreements over the last few years. So things like termination clause, they've been thrown out of the courts, deemed unenforceable several times over the course of, even the last 6 months. So it's just really based on wording. We're constantly updating and refining all of our agreements to make sure that they're meeting all of the latest case law. So again, there's a ton of cases here. I don't want to go too in depth because I know we've got a lot of great speakers here today. Things like term contracts, very dicey. Offer letters, again, the recommendation here is if an offer letter contains a lot of the stuff that, you know, really defines the employment, it is actually counted as the employment agreement. So, we don't recommend using offer letters and just, rolling it into an employment agreement. And then any changes that you make, or if an existing employee, you want to roll out a new employment agreement, we always have to talk about consideration. So that's giving them something in addition to what they're currently getting to be able to sign that new agreement. So again, there's a lot of great information that we can provide you in terms of that sort of stuff. So again, want to talk. We're really focused on compliance here at HR Covered. So really just want to talk about really the five must-haves here. So obviously the legislatively required stuff. Your health and safety, WHMIS, harassment, violence prevention, accessibility, pay equity, evacuations, that sort of stuff. Time tracking and attendance, very important to have in writing as a business so everybody understands kind of what your procedures are there, what you can and can't do. Benefits policy, disability management policies, drug and alcohol policy. Having a reasonable suspicion checklist is very important as well. And then things to really govern like appropriate computer use, social media, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of key areas that you definitely want to make sure that you've got some good, strong policy in place on and are communicating it with the employees. And then lastly here, progressive discipline. This is not something that's legislatively required, but it's definitely something that can help your business or your not-for-profit with, really putting in the proper structure to coach and develop and make sure that employees are following the rules, make sure that the expectations are set, and make sure that you've got a standardized process if those expectations are not being met, so that again you can run them through the course of progressive discipline up to termination. So just wanted to quickly talk about a couple common HR mistakes that, obviously are out there. We work with over, 2,000 businesses across Canada. Nobody's perfect. So there's definitely a lot of, things that can pop up. So basically, one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make is salary. Having, things like, a salary employee is not eligible for overtime. They don't get, vacation time, or it's all rolled into the salary. So those things have to be separated a bit. Misclassification. This is really something that we've seen pop up a lot, where, again, you're hiring somebody as a contractor or subcontractor, but there's specific rules and guidelines that would deem that person a contractor in terms of providing their own equipment, setting their own hours. You can't really have benefits or incentives for those people. So there's been a lot of different cases where misclassification of contractors has turned into employment or full-time employment. Vacation pay. Again, this is a big struggle area for a lot of small businesses where, is it vacation time? Is it vacation pay? Is it a mix of both? How do we do that? So again, there's a lot of considerations there when we're talking about compensation. And then, of course, just general errors in process. So again, not having a consistent process, not having, defined policies can really make a big difference there. So I just wanted to, again, say, we're here to help. So when does do-it-yourself HR really turn into, hey, I'd love to talk to an expert on that? Anything to do with termination, you definitely want to rely on an expert. Anything to do with a human rights claim, definitely want to reach out to an expert. Anything with accommodation or medical leaves, that sort of thing, get some help. Anything when it comes to harassment and investigations or obligations under the reporting processes, rely on an expert because a lot of these things are not as clear cut as you might think. So, with that said, I want to talk about some of the great benefits that we can offer you here at absolutely no cost. Again, as part of the partnership here. So, we've got an HR hub. If you haven't registered for this yet, I'll definitely share a link as part of the presentation after, but you can register for the HR hub. It basically is going to provide you with thousands of documents and tools, policies, all that good stuff that you might need to help improve some of the documentation from an HR perspective. So that's 100% free, unlimited use. You can have access to that right away, just simply by registering it through the program. Outside of that, we do offer a compliant policy manual. So, big recommendation right now. I'm showing 2025. I'd love to make sure that everybody out there's got a compliant policy manual for 2026. So, if you book in a call with one of our team members, we'll go through a full compliance assessment, talk about all those things that I just talked about really, really quickly. And then from there, we're able to provide you with an up-to-date and compliant policy manual. And what a better way to start your 2026 to know that you've got a great foundation of documentation in place. And then just outside of that, did want to mention that we do offer some paid services. So if you do need any additional support, we do offer everything that you might need from, general HR compliance services with online training all the way up to, a dedicated HR and employment lawyer to help you with every step of the way. So thank you so much. Really appreciate everybody's time. You can reach out to me here, but again, I will share all the details after the presentation.
John, thank you so very much. I think it was a very quick overview, but I think it was a really helpful one when I looked at it to actually understanding some of the areas that businesses need to look at, but also likely some of the areas that probably many of us can identify as a gap because HR and HR policies change quite regularly and frequently, and in many smaller businesses. And I think in Canada, we have 97% of all business in Canada actually qualify and are being considered as small to medium-sized businesses, don't have a dedicated HR expert on staff. So I can see that being the case and how important it is. There's a couple of questions that have come forward, and I thought we'll take a couple of minutes before passing it on to the next presenter. But one of the questions that has come forward is, how can a business tell when it's time to bring in outside HR help instead of handling everything in-house? And I think there's so many businesses right now, cost conscious, expense conscious, feel like we've always done it like this, has worked so far, and but when you look at it through your expert eyes, what are some of the indicators where you're saying, this is when we do kind of a review with them, is what is kind of where your trigger points are coming forward and saying, no, we need to look at this, or they would be benefiting from looking at it differently.
Yeah, great question. And I think I did touch on that a little bit. So anything where, you might have a situation that involves a termination or harassment investigation or, leaves or accommodation, that sort of thing, you definitely want to get expert help on that, for sure, because those types of things are not easy to navigate. And again, I think when if you have the time to do it yourself, you can absolutely do HR yourself, right? So I think that's the biggest factor for a lot of the small businesses we work with is like you can do it, but it's number, you know, 5 or 4 on the priority list and never seems to work its way up to number 1 until there's an issue, right? So really the goal is to, be proactive about this stuff and make sure that you've got a good foundation. And, you can always rely on an expert. If HR is not your expertise, I think, it's a great time to rely on somebody that can help, right?
Yeah. You mentioned on one of your slides that there are updates and policies that need to exist when it comes to computer and social media usage, for example. And many organizations have it. I can't say, and you probably would know better if most organizations do have such a policy in place. But it made me think about cyber protocol, a cybersecurity protocol, because that is something that a lot of businesses find themselves under threat, are big concerns for them. What role does HR and HR policies play when it comes to cybersecurity?
Great question. So again, as part of your acceptable use policies, there's generally some instruction around, how to identify phishing emails, how to, what to do in that situation, right? So again, cybersecurity is a very, very hot topic. I think I get probably 30 phishing emails a day, right? And I'm sure that everybody on my team does too, right? With that said, obviously we cannot over communicate the fact that, these things are coming in and you want to make sure that you do that regularly. And again, you can always refresh it with a policy, right? So I think that's where HR cover can come into play to help with, the process of what do I do when I notice this? What happens if I click on the link and all of a sudden everybody gets an email with a link in it that's malicious, right? So what are the steps that we need to take to mitigate that happening, and what are the processes if it does happen, what are the repercussions of those actions? So if you don't have that in writing beforehand, then it's just a reactionary situation for sure.
It makes sense. It reminds me when you're mentioning the steps that organizations have to take, it reminds me of the importance of training and training overall. HR covered offers some training. When you look at it, what are some of the training modules that most companies early on, as they're signing up with you, are turning to? And that really shows that there is a gap in staff knowledge when it comes to certain areas.
Yeah, so thanks for asking. Really, what we focus on most is like some of that core legislative training, right? So, if you're bringing on a new employee in Ontario, you have to, do your occupational health and safety awareness, your WHMIS, your violence and harassment, your accessibility training. So, those are some of the training modules that we offer, really to get that base point compliance. It's generally recommended that you refresh that stuff on an annual basis as well, because again, HR is all about communication and just reinforcing and making sure everybody understands the rules each and every year. Because again, we all get busy in what we're doing and we don't always remember, all the specifics. So.
Some of our attendees here are indicating that they're in more of a seasonal business. And I think we need to look at that in Niagara. We have probably about 40,000 people employed in tourism. Sometimes there's an aspect of that pool that is likely a seasonal one because of our peak seasons that we have here in Niagara, or some industries have more than others. So their businesses are dealing with a turnover because of that. And they're asking specifically, where should they focus their HR efforts first on when they're faced with this turnover and this seasonal employment and moving forward each and every year, almost starting not from scratch, but a little bit like it?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, we work with a lot of golf courses as well. So, very seasonal business. A lot of the foundational elements that are important is managing kind of those recurring employees, that come back each and every season. So there's, do's and don'ts when you're drafting up agreements, when you're ending that contract. Those are some very important elements when you're managing those types of things. But again, when you're a seasonal business, you're going to ramp up, you're going to start hiring in, March, April, and then, you're going to have to get everybody trained and everybody up to date and compliant and ready to go for the season, right? So I think the more you do at the front end in terms of like training and getting all the compliance measures done, the easier it goes. And the other thing that I will mention, even though nobody really loves doing HR training and reading HR policy, I think it's definitely something that shows your employee that you're committed to, a fair workplace. And that means a lot to an employee as well. So if, you don't have a good onboarding process and they're not getting, a clear understanding of what the guidelines are and how you operate as a company, they're not going to have a ton of confidence, right? So having things in writing is definitely very important for every business.
Yeah, and I think you're making an excellent point because you're looking at it through the employee's eyes and you're saying that creates actually a level of confidence and respect for you as a company. When you have those tedious but necessary steps in place to inform and bring on a new hire that you have. And I think at the same time, it also protects the company too. So it
Absolutely.
protects both. It protects the employee and the company. And we're bringing that forward, I think, is key. I have one last question before we're going to move on to our next expert. And this is regarding hiring practices. So there's some questions that has come forward is it's a tough employment market for both sides, for employers and employees at the same time. Have hiring practices changed, and do businesses need to prepare when seeking out new employees differently than what they've done in the past?
Great question. I'm not a recruitment expert. We do have recruitment experts here as well, but yes, there's been a ton of shift, and it's very, very industry specific too. So, obviously there's a pretty big crisis in the healthcare sector right now, and just having people available is kind of the biggest thing. There's been a lot of changes in terms of bringing over foreign workers. There's a lot of new programs and things like that available. So some companies are looking, abroad to find, good folks. Remote work is very popular nowadays as well. So a lot of companies don't always want to move to remote, but it is an option if you're not able to find the talent and you can do the job remotely. So there's a lot of different strategies that, definitely our advisors can talk about and lend experience on for sure.
It's a great point you're making because I think I think employers are more being asked to custom tailor their offers to also be right for the people that they want to bring on board and the people who are already on board at the same time. So really appreciate it. Just to all of our attendees, Sean is with us until the end of the webinar. So if you have a question specifically for Sean, utilize the chat function and we will get to it. But we thought it's a good time to actually move on to introduce Gohar Shah, who is the account executive at Freightcom. And this is all about shipping logistics and managing delays. And that, I think, in today's climate is something that is really important. And I think a lot of us have questions around that. So, Gohar, thank you so very much for joining us. I'm going to pass it over to you, and then we'll get back to you for our Q&A session. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, thank you for the warm introduction there. Yeah, shipping, obviously, especially in the last, well, happy Wednesday, everyone. But shipping, especially in the last 12 months, um, it's probably at the forefront of for every business, especially in Canada with the not only with the Canada Post service disruptions, but with the new tariffs that have been in place since the end of summer almost. So a lot of businesses are facing difficulties, whether it's shipping within Canada, shipping within the United States, shipping to the United States, or shipping abroad. So this is a perfect time to kind of just touch base, see how much your shipping is costing you, see if there's any efficiencies you can kind of improve upon. We get to talk to business owners every day, and it's one of the most costly expenses people don't think that they have. So it's always important to just always even review that aspect of your business. And what is Freightcom? So imagine running your business, and every time you ship a product, you spend hours like comparing rates, whether you're shipping a small parcel, a big pallet. A lot of people who ship to Amazon now ship pallets there. So it's always important to understand where you're shipping, how you're shipping, and if you're getting the best rates, and how can you track all of this. As a business owner, you just want to do something and it's out there and you want to be able to track it easily. You don't want to like micromanage your situations. So it's always a very important tool to have in your arsenal. So Freightcom provides, complete shipping solutions to automate the shipping process for small to medium-sized businesses all over Canada. And we know as businesses, everything is switching to e-commerce. Every business now who is retail or is coming as a new business, everyone is switching to e-commerce. And e-commerce comes in various ways. E-commerce can come from social media. E-commerce can come from your website. E-commerce can come from eBay, from Facebook. So there's a lot of different channels which classify as e-commerce. And using platforms can using our platform, businesses can quote, book, track shipments with top tier carriers in minutes, saving time and money. And then we've partnered with very different board of trades and chambers. So I'm kind of excited to bring this program over to Niagara. We actually have a lot of members who are using this who are using our platform already to ship out. So so shipping in general, you want to get your product from your customer, from you to your customer. That's in the general setting. Now, what is it? So we have pre-negotiated discounted shipping rates, real-time quotes for packages and pallets. How to get a rate is very simple. You have your shipping from location, you put your customer shipping to location. Normally, if you get an order intake online from a customer, their information's already filled out. So you just click ship it. You see that shipping rate, you ship it out. The shipping label is done. The shipping label is created, and you're off your way. The least amount of work to get your product to your customers. You just got to make the world a little smaller, and shipping helps with that, whether it's domestic or international. And over here with ClickShip, it allows you to kind of integrate with every single e-commerce space I was talking about. Shopify is a big one, WooCommerce. You have Amazon, Walmart, eBay. So we kind of have uh, all the general big players kind of covered there. And it just allows you to basically streamline your online fulfillment. And a lot of small businesses who are starting off don't have that kind of capital to go out and build these systems. So it's very nice that you can just integrate into something and streamline everything from the get-go. And then more benefits. We have free pickups, so we've negotiated free pickups. So whether you're shipping, we have warehouses who ship 300 times a day. We have small mom and pops who ship 2 times a week. So it really depends on how you use the system. It's very broad in its use, and there's free pickups. So generally, what happens is, hey, we all get busy, especially like if you have a family, business owners, you're working and everything like that. So it's hard to kind of carve out the time to go somewhere and return it. I'm sure that a lot of the times we get online orders and then and if we don't like anything, we get that return shipping label. It's like, oh my God, I have to go to Shoppers to drop this off. I have to go XYZ to drop it off. So the free pickups option really does save you a lot of time. And then you have a designated account manager. So if you have any questions whatsoever within whether before you ship, during your shipping process, after your shipping process to track a shipment, we have designated account managers who you can call. We have a track and trace team. We have an accounting team. We have a claims team. Things can go wrong. Let's say you ship something out, something goes missing. We offer free insurance. We offer additional insurance. So there's a bunch of different options that we have where you can take advantage and just help make everything a lot easier for yourself as a business owner, and then reduce the cost of shipping for your customer, which and then the ROI is really good on that, and you can kind of scale your business in a quicker fashion that way. And then all the tracking is sent out to your customers. So everything that you can think of in terms of emails and touch points and reviews that you may want to garner from your customer, that's all streamlined in our shipping rules and our entire system. So that's essentially the basic presentation for shipping. If you want to consolidate your shipping, you want to save on shipping, and you want to make shipping easier for your business, Freightcom is the way to go.
Thank you so very much for the presentation. Really, really appreciate it. And I liked actually the way you started out by actually talking about the areas that have really disrupted business. You talked about Canada Post and the situation at Canada Post, and you talked about the tariff situation as well, and the uncertainty that it has created because of that. But I also wanted to follow up on one point, and that is the growth of e-commerce e-commerce and
Mhm.
that element. Can you kind of give us a better sense of saying this is where it has grown? Is it mainly like smaller businesses, more independent businesses? Is it people who are working out of their home more versus others? Where do you see the biggest change in it? Because I think it would make people look differently, and maybe some of the services that are currently utilizing and saying, I can actually think about your company and
For sure.
similar companies as maybe being an alternative for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I would say small size businesses have grown tremendously. I would say for the last 3 or 4 months, every day we onboard almost 15 to 20 new businesses per day. So people who are coming on. So these are people who, and I would say 90% of these people start from social media and they start from their homes. So just when you're starting off and it's a clean slate, it's really important to have education, especially in this department, on how to parse, how to package, how to ship, how to track. So not only for yourself, but for your customers, because at the end of the day, like customers are fickle, right? In every industry. So it's very important that you understand how you're projecting the information that they're receiving. So just being an expert even if you're not an expert, which is it's fine, we will tell you what to say. We will tell you how to say it. So, just to kind of help build that foundation for your business, especially in the beginning to help build that e-commerce base, there there is nothing like there's nothing like starting from scratch and building. As long as you have that foundation, you can always add to it, but that foundation is really important, I would say.
I think you're making a great point by saying the importance of tracking and communicating with it. Because by the time I purchase something, I
Hmm.
kind of now want to know when it is going to come in, or is it going to the right address and where to go
Exactly.
from there. And I think it's really, really key. I wondered if we can have a minute or two to just expand on the opportunities that your organization offers for people who
Hmm.
are bridging into the e-commerce or want to maximize the e-commerce. What are some of, when you look at businesses who are in that field who want to grow it, what are some of the shipping mistakes or mistakes that you see all the time
Hmm.
and that would be easy for businesses could fix? It's not a difficult one, it can easily be done, but it could mean a tremendous amount of more sales to them.
Social media is a gift and a curse, and every single business that we talk to advertises in some way on it. And a lot of the times people blow up on social media. So the biggest mistakes that we see is a business is growing too fast. So they've done things a certain way, they've handled their shipping process a certain way, they've dealt with their customers a certain way, and that's okay. Like when you're a smaller business and you're starting up, that's okay. You can have a bit more like hand to hand, a bit more personal touch. But as you grow, you have to scale. And if like for example, we have a company. They got about 500 orders over the weekend. It is physical. They have a small warehouse. And it's physically impossible for them to fulfill all those in one day. So even they can work 24 hours, it's not going to happen. So just setting the right expectations. Uh,
Mm.
you know, before anything like that happens, when sometimes when you're emailing into an organization and says, hey, it's going to be 24 hours before you can expect a reply, just to kind of like not you're not leaving the customer hanging. So I think just that information is so important, especially during that beginning phase, the phase, just to build that trust with your customers, right? Because per Pareto's rule, 80% of your revenue comes with 20% of your customers. So and everything is reoccurring. So you just want to have that. You want to have that, and then you want to kind of build from there. So I would say people growing too fast and just not understanding on how to apply best practices, whether that's for packaging parcels, so their parcels arrive damaged, like especially like so right now between like November and December we call it peak. So in our industry we call it peak. So this is the peak time where every business is shipping subscription boxes and glass and everything. So there's obviously in the supply chain there's going to be a lot more shipments that are being shipped out, so there's going to be delays. So for us it's important we use September, October, and the beginning of November to educate our customers, so when they are in this frenzy for this last like 3 4 weeks, everyone wants everything before Christmas. So just got to make sure that the right education happens and it starts from us to let people know, and then trickles down from there.
Yeah. This must be a stressful time for you. I'm just wanting to say it, just so when you're talking about the holiday season, and I think even for all retail businesses, from what we understand, it is a
Yeah,
major, like it's a challenging time. I mean, it's the time, it's the most important time of the year for many
100%.
businesses, and likely for you as well. But just listening to you and trying to think about the fulfillment of all the promises that have been made, it is a hard one. So, well, thank you so very much for being with us. Just to all of our participants, staying with us until the end. But we're just going to pass it over to Jeremy Garrett, who's a partner at the Garrett Group of Companies, talking about the importance actually of good benefits and workforce retention, and all the good things that employers are needing to do to ensure that they have a strong workforce and are protected themselves. So, Jeremy, thank you so very much. And for all transparency, the Chamber works very closely with the Garrett Group of Companies through our Chamber Insurance Plan, a benefit plan that many of our members many of our members take advantage of. So we really are glad that you are joining us. Over to you.
Thank you, Mishka. I'm going to just switch my screen over real quickly to and share instantly and jump into my presentation. Okay, so so if you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, which I'm going to safely assume that you are, being a part of this and joining this presentation, the Chamber Plan is an exclusive benefit to you as a member. We had an earlier presentation from Sean in regards to HR, and at the end of the day, yourself as an owner or manager and your staff are your number one asset within a business, and having a strong group plan in place is key, not only to taking care of the existing staff that you have, but also helping to attract and retain. So the Chamber Plan is unique in that it runs as a not-for-profit. With that being said, a little bit about myself before we get going. Garrett Insurance was founded in 1960 by Lionel Edwin Garrett, who was my grandfather. And 65 years later, 3 generations in, and we're still here serving the community. Brief history on the Chamber of Commerce Group Insurance Plan. So in 1971, people just like yourselves that were a part of their local chamber really wanted to access group benefits to take care of their staff. But at the time, most of these carriers were not willing to touch small business. That's where chambers got together and formed this plan to take care of their existing staff, help to attract and retain those staff members. Now in 2025, they are supporting over 800 chambers across the country, over 33,000 businesses, and over 170,000 employees are taken care of on the chamber plans. So just to touch base a little bit, and when it comes to group plans and how employees look at these things, it's harder than ever to attract and retain quality staff. And 88% of job seekers say that group benefits are a very, very strong consideration when looking at a new potential job. And when they're looking at these potential jobs, they're going to consider or heavily consider an employer that offers a strong benefit package versus one that maybe pays a little bit more money but doesn't have quite the same benefit offerings. Then if we take a quick peek at existing staff, 80% of employees say that they would rather see benefits over a pay raise. So, we know things are getting more and more expensive for everybody. And there's a lot of staff members that are having a hard time covering off your bills, the dentist being quite expensive, and especially if you have employees that have young families. So in a lot of cases, employees would rather see an increase in a benefit package versus a pay raise. The other thing too is that people are more stressed than ever before. 1 in 4 employees saying they're highly stressed. By having a solid group plan in place, it's really going to allow the employee to have access to a whole bunch of fantastic features, which I will jump into later, to hope eliminate and alleviate some of those stresses. So when they show up to work, they're there, they're focused, can do their job, and they're not distracted because of some of those stressors in their lives. So the chamber plan, real quickly, without going into too much detail, they have a whole array of different dental and health packages. If you are with a current carrier and want to compare, by all means, we can look and see if we can match identical or as close as possible. Health coverage, these are your typical, your drugs, your vision care. You're looking at travel insurance, paramedical. Typically, when an employee is looking at this, they're looking at, okay, what kind of prescription drug coverage do I have? And then they're looking at paramedical services. Dental coverage, again, is a big one. And it's one of those things, especially if you have your staff is younger staff and have young families. Dentistry is very expensive, and it's one of those things that people are really looking for. They also offer your critical illness, life insurance components. And then they also have, which is really nice, a few new things coming out, which I'll touch base on later, but value add programs that I will jump into a little bit later on. But programs there to help yourself as a business owner that are included within the plan. And lastly here, I would just jump on is the out of country or out of province coverage. Up to age 65, you can be gone for up to 180 days consecutively, no pre-existing conditions, no stability clauses. It really allows for you to travel and not have to worry at all. It gives you that peace of mind. We have plenty of clients that are able to operate their business remotely for the winter. So we have quite a few clients that go down to Florida and operate their business from there and can travel without any worries. So basically what sets the chamber plan apart from any other carrier? Well, the big thing is they run as a not-for-profit. So what that means to you as a business owner at the end of the day is that money stays within the plan, keeping those rates stable and low, right? So when you look at if you've been through a few of these renewals before and experience what that looks like, Chamber's a lot different in that regards. The other thing too, you have free access to a few different things. One being human resources. I'll jump into that a little bit more later. Accounting and legal advice. I touch base on the travel coverage. The customer service it's phenomenal. I believe it's about, I think it's 75% of calls are answered in under a minute. So you're not sitting on hold. The other option too is when you have to call in and deal with customer service, you do have the option of leaving a phone number and getting a call back. So it's really a breath of fresh air in the financial industry in regards to how quickly they're able to answer questions and get back to you. The other thing as well is the telehealth. So, and I'll dive into that a little bit more. And just recently, the Chamber has launched what's called their tiered program. So these new tiered offerings are there for businesses that are new to the Chamber plan. So if you've never been insured with the Chamber plan before, these new offerings are fantastic. They are, I would call, say, a plug and play sort of benefit structure. They're pre-designed, and so you pick your tier you want and go from there. All the benefits are preset, nice and simple. They offer benefits in areas that employees are asking for and scale back, say, on some of the areas that, say, a traditional plan might have more so of. but employees are typically not looking for these sorts of things. So it's a really nice way to get your foot in the door, get a fantastic benefit structure in place, and keep costs contained. So I'll run through these real quick. These were some of the things that I touched on earlier. So the teledoc or telemedicine, which is a fantastic component of these plans. The telemedicine is by far one of my favorite. It gives you access to a licensed physician in Canada 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can connect either via a phone call or it could be a video conference. And over the phone, they're able to diagnose and even prescribe, given the situation, obviously not always, and then send that prescription to your local pharmacist. The nice thing with this program is it works outside of the OHIP system, so your family doctor will not be getting upset with you if you use this because they will not be receiving a charge back. And this is also available to use all across North America. So if you happen to be traveling in the US, something comes up, you get an ear infection, you get a throat, you have a problem with your throat, hey, I probably just need an antibiotic. You can tag in here and somebody's going to be able to walk you through the process and get you set up so you can hopefully get back to your vacation and enjoy that. The business assistant service is included within every plan. It does give you free access to accounting, legal, and HR professionals. You get up to 9 hours free for legal and accounting. And on the HR side, you get 2 hours per incident, and it's unlimited. So, this is something, it's a fantastic program. It's there for those one-off situations that come up, or say if you have a problematic employee that you have to keep addressing a few different things from time to time. This is a fantastic place to start. Like Sean mentioned earlier, you get into the weeds. They're probably going to advise you to reach out to somebody like Sean, who's an expert in HR, or your labor lawyer. And along with this is the Healthy Business Bookmark. This gives you access to a whole bunch of fantastic different resources, whether it be online templates, there's podcasts, PDFs on a whole array of different things. It could be setting up new policies within your business and having templates that you can take and adjust for your existing business as well. The other thing too is the chamber works with an online pharmacist called Pocket Pills. Really simple to work with. You use it like any other pharmacist. Instead of going to your local, you'd be using this digital or online pharmacy. And the beautiful thing here is when you use this, they pick up an additional 10% of your prescription cost. So if you have let's say example, an 80% coinsurance, they would pick up an additional 10, bringing that up to 90. So that employee now is only paying 10% out of pocket. Lastly, just a quick little testimonial. The gist of it is that, the nice thing about the chamber plan is it really allows smaller, mid-sized businesses to have access to and administer business or group plans the way larger businesses would. So that's the end of my presentation. I'm going to leave this screen and hop back in, and then we can take it from there.
Jeremy, thank you so very much actually for the overview. I think it's really, really helpful. And on our end, we really have to say that we have these conversations with our members and new members quite on a regular basis, because I think people are looking for the best ways to support their staff and their staff's families. And benefit plan is exactly that for them. One of the questions that I have, and I think this is really important for employers to know as well, have you noticed any shifts in what employees expect from benefits? When we look at the last 5 years, and you had also talked about in one of your slides about mental health and the stress factors that they have. So I was wondering, for people that are on existing benefit plans, maybe outside of this particular one, what are some of the shifts maybe that they need to be prepared for to better support their employees as their employees' needs are changing?
Yeah. So what I'm seeing more and more is that, financially, employees are in many different sectors are struggling. So they're always asking for more, which is quite typical. Um, as a business owner, that budget only goes so far. So it's deciding what can we do to um, keep people happy, but knowing that we have limited budget. So um, what we see working a lot and what I've been implementing a fair bit are healthcare spending accounts, wellness spending accounts, and or alternatively, flex spending accounts. And so what this does is it helps employees top up in areas that say they
Mm,
might not have quite enough,
yeah.
but at the same time, it's not going to um, expand that risk exposure to the bottom line of the business, right? So hey, if we put a dollar amount into a healthcare spending account, we know how much money we're agreeing to be able to dish out versus with, say, a traditional group plan and adding in more benefit option. That risk exposure can be quite large. So it's a nice way of giving something in a controlled manner that hey, I'm setting some pretty solid parameters as a business owner, and yeah, it's a nice way of tackling some of these problems.
Yeah, I think it also speaks to the flexibility of what we have to offer actually to make it right for a variety of employees with different needs at the same time. Some employers are working within very tight budgets. We hear a lot about that. What is a realistic first step towards offering or improving one's group benefits?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I would say if you're just starting out, something very simple, the chamber has the tiered option.
Mhm.
If you're working with another carrier, start low and slow is my advice always. At the end of the day, um, you know, you can add in all these bells and whistles and additional benefits and coverages. Um, but when you look at how much is being spent versus how much is put in, as a business owner, those premiums can skyrocket really quickly. And as we all know, there's nothing in life for free. So having more for less only works for a short period of time, and eventually, those books have to get balanced. So my advice is definitely start low and slow. And if there's a desire or need for, say, top up in a certain area, adding in, like I said, a healthcare spending account, because it's a nice way to help control those budgets, giving benefits without too much risk exposure to your bottom line as a business owner.
Yeah. Jeremy, thank you so very much. And the same goes to Gohar and Sean, but I'm going to bring those two individuals back into the call a little bit because we have about 3 minutes left. And I always find that at the end of a webinar, we often have experts who are saying, I wish I would have said this. I wanted to say that, but we have not shared this. So Sean, if I'm going to bring you in first, just for another 30 seconds to a minute. And when you're saying and having listened to the conversation, anything that you feel like maybe that you wanted to say about HR covered in your organization or something that makes people say like, I'm going to pick up the phone, or I'm going to email you and connect with you for those reasons. Anything you missed saying that you would like to maybe say now?
Yeah, I think really, and long and short of it is, everybody is very, very risk adverse right now.
Mhm.
And we can tell with everybody else, Gohar and Jeremy as well. There's a lot of, things that everybody's trying to manage, right? And I think at the end of the day, a lot of small businesses want to do HR, but they just never get around to it. So, really what we have is some great, complementary tools that will give you a little bit of a do-it-yourself approach. But when you need help, we're here. We're the experts in HR, occupational health and safety, and employment law. And again, for anybody using the Chambers plan, Jeremy's got some great resources as well through there, but they work really well in tandem. Right. So, don't not use everything available is what I'm getting at, right? So, if you can get an advantage in business, go for it. And, these resources are an advantage.
Yeah. And you know what really stuck with me was your point too, is saying like when you said during your presentation or the Q&A afterwards, saying that don't wait for something bad to happen and then turn to us. Like be
Please don't.
prepared in the first place, and it gives the confidence to your employees at the same time. It positions you differently. So it really somehow stuck with me, and I'm thinking you're absolutely right. You're saving yourself costs, you're saving yourself time, and you're likely have a more productive and an all around more stronger team because of it too. So thank you for that. Goha, I'm going to bring you in from a Freightcom perspective. Anything that you wanted to share that you maybe have not shared?
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're kind of into Q4 now, and everyone's usually set up their shipping by the end of November, and it's always hard to kind of convert people, especially this time. So I'll say this, this is to end the year for you guys and to start 2026. So come to us if you're having any troubles with, even if you're not having troubles shipping. It never hurts to kind of see your options. The platform is free essentially. So let us know how we can help. If we can, great. If not, then, we'll shake your hand at the end of the day. So keep your options open, and we'll look forward to working with everyone in 2026.
I think it's a great way. I always like life when I have options, and I like to explore options. And
That's
I
it.
think you make it right to saying you're the right partner for us to move forward with. And Jeremy, on your end, anything that you would like to leave the audience with? I think you might be on mute. Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, no, there's always a couple quick things you think about afterwards. So I would say that a few things I forgot to mention. One is that the chamber plan in every group plan now includes up to 3 hours of business coaching for the owner, or say your high-end management staff. So it's 1 3 hour free included. So really, really nice additional feature. The other thing too is critical illness coverage. So we know more and more people are getting ill. We all know people. The new tiered options within the chamber plan include critical illness in every single option. So it's a really, really fantastic tool to help look after, say, a staff member should the worst case scenario happen. Helps alleviate those financial pressures and stresses on that employee and also their family. And I would say the last thing to leave you with is that, we'll run free quotes for you if you'd like. If you have a group plan in place and want to do a comparison, by all means, reach out and we're more than happy to help. If you don't have anything in place and would like to see what it looks like, please, again, reach out. Benefits don't have to be extremely expensive and unobtainable. There's many different levels, and you can find something that works for your budget.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Jeremy. I think you're right. So first of all, we are going to share everyone's contact information as well as the presentations with our audience and make it available on our site as well. Jeremy, I wanted to say that you're right by alleviating some of the pressures when people are facing critical illness on the people that are surrounding them is it's so much needed. But I also really like the idea of professional development. We sometimes forget about that, and for you to offer that, I think at this time where everyone's is expected to change and change quicker and deal with different dynamics, I think it's really helpful. So thank you for that. Sean, Goha, Jeremy, it's been a great webinar, Lunch and Learn. We really appreciated all of your insights, and I really can see how you and allow everyone to move forward stronger than maybe we have actually been in 2025, and what difference it can make. So thank you very much for that. And thank you to YMCA Naga for their partnership and powering these Lunch and Learns on a monthly basis. We couldn't do it without you. And to our attendees, if you have a topic or speaker that you wish to consider for our Lunch and Learn lineup, feel free to contact us at either info@gncc.ca, mishka@gncc.ca. We love to hear your ideas. We're here for you to ensure that the learning and growth and the resources are being shared, because it makes us better. So thank you very much for joining us today, and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks so much, everyone.